Hello, we are Nobody Gets That Reference, a channel about gaming, pop culture, and a bunch of references you probably won't get and will have to look up later. But that's okay, that's kind of what we're here for. In this video, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Talon.
And today we're bringing you some Modern Warfare Battle Royale gameplay, discussing the game, pop culture, and anything and everything in between. I think today we're going to talk about how the coronavirus, the dreaded COVID-19, has been impacting the lives of everyone, but also how it's been impacting the world of pop culture and maybe the world of gaming and that sort of stuff. We do pretty okay in the footage, but my strategy in Battle Royale is what you're supposed to do in the event of an active shooter, which is run, hide, and then fight. That's definitely my strategy here, so not super exciting. So we're probably here more for the commentary than for the gameplay, but feel free to enjoy both if you can. So yeah. Coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing to say is that certainly this is a good time for the gaming companies in terms of an audience. I mean, with Warzone just coming out now and being free to play, I bet it has a huge audience right now, and a lot of people are playing it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it was 150 million people were playing Warzone, which is like a cap record for something like for Battle Royale. I know Apex Legends hit something like 12 million players in the first day. Like they hit a very high number, but of course, because this is based off of Call of Duty, probably the most popular, first-person shooter franchise of all time, you have a lot more people looking into this and playing it. Because it's free to play and because it seems to be kind of so easy to use and get into, Apex is kind of cartoony and a little bit weird, whereas this is like, straightforward action shooter. I think we are headed toward the prison. Yeah, I'm definitely going for a helicopter, although it looks like there's 3 or 4 other people already going there, so I don't think we're going to get this helicopter, no.
Yeah. And I don't really remember what I'm doing at this point in the footage. Knowing me, I was probably running around trying to get people early on, because aggressive. I mean, it looks like I just got 2 kills in the feed, so...
Yeah, I think you went to forest or farmland, and
yeah.
You were... I know you were trying to get... Oh, yeah, I remember. I sneak up on this person here.
Take that, Charlie. From Charlie.
From Charlie to Charlie, with love. This is an incredibly good place to go, first part of the map, because you really can't access these ramparts. It's pretty complicated to get up there via the stairs, so not many people go up here. There's almost always a contract. There's always at least one chest. It's a good place to get a decent gun and a couple $1,000s right off the bat. So that's, I'm not shooting at that. So back to coronavirus. So one thing I've been noticing is that a lot of video games and a lot of movies have either been pushing to release content early or to kind of push their dates back. And I think that's kind of a big choice. That movie, The Hunt, which was about the... I think liberals hunting down people, like ordinary people in red state. It was like a most dangerous game kind of thing. They were going to release it last year, but they got so much backlash that they didn't. And they did finally release it. And I know it was a record breaker because it was the first movie available to buy on your TV, like through Comcast or Xfinity or Dish or whatever, or buy online within 7 days of it being released in a theater. I think as the coronavirus gets worse and social distancing stays the norm, more and more people are probably going to be wanting those options. And so I think more and more movies, if they don't get pushed, we're going to see co-releases in theaters and on home media.
And specifically what I could see being a big thing, especially with how Disney's really trying to push Disney Plus, is I could see Marvel releasing Black Widow instead of in theaters, releasing it as a thing on Disney Plus. Because, that franchise has been nothing for so long now. It's the longest they've gone without a release in quite a while, I think. And they need something, and Disney's certainly going to be harping on them to, get out content for Disney Plus, and certainly Disney Plus is doing well now. Yeah,
their new CEO has said that he thinks that Disney Plus is probably the best possible future that the company can have in terms of like ways to generate profit and sort of as a mechanism for moving sort of Disney's entertainment thing forward. I think you're probably right. I think they probably are going to release something like that on Disney Plus. That actually kind of brings up an interesting point, and maybe something we can maybe debate a little bit. So I read an article, and I had similar thoughts before reading this article. I sort of wasn't not just taking this point from there, but that nobody really wins in the streaming wars, not even the consumer, because the consumer is forced right now. Say if you want to watch Marvel, and if you want to watch sort of the rest of the decent media that's available, you got to pay for 8 or 9 things. You got to pay for Amazon. You got to pay for, you probably have Prime anyway, but you got to pay for Prime. You got to pay for Netflix. You got to pay for probably Hulu if you want some of their original series. You got to pay for HBO and eventually HBO Max. You might have to pay for a regular like cable TV sort of provider service for maybe you bundle that with your internet and phone, and then now you're going to have to pay for Disney Plus, and that's only 5. But there are clearly a lot more sort of streaming options out there, probably more than we need. I think the smart move would have been for Disney just to acquire Netflix as a whole, and then sort of build their streaming catalog out on that. But they didn't do that, and now sort of we're here.
Well, that would have made it harder to brand it as Disney, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, is the Disney brand is still powerful.
Oh, wait. Are we going to get it? No. Damn, no. I am a pretty terrible driver when it comes to those rovers. I'm okay with the helicopter, but now we see that we are both in the gulag.
One of us makes it.
Yeah, you win, and I don't. And so we switch over to Talon for a while, and we see...
Get to see my crazy plane. Don't know why you'd want to, but... One thing I think is this idea, the issue with streaming and how many different services you have to buy really makes me think of a lot of the debates I've heard in the past about console exclusives, to bring it back to gaming in a way, and that's a big thing, and that's an annoying thing. I mean, the Wii, for example, is almost all exclusive in a way. It's if I want both God of the War and Breath of the Wild, I have to buy 2 different consoles, and that's a huge investment. So streaming services are kind of like that. And my assumption is a lot of people don't buy Hulu, and
probably not. I mean, Hulu's big thing is they're touting that they have like live sports and they have regular TV 2 days after it's released. Either 2 days or 1 day. I'm not actually sure, but so I think like that could potentially be valuable for some consumers, but in general, I don't really see that as viable as something like Disney Plus, which I think is really aimed at like parents of young kids, because you can put Disney Plus on and you can just watch like all the old classic Disney movies all day, and especially now that all the kids are at home, like doing their work remotely, the kids are going to shut up, and you can like still be in your office like Zooming or Skyping or whatever with your boss, and it's not going to cause an issue. Like, that's a godsend to parents now. And that's good, but that's bad, because people are going to pay for Disney Plus, and they're going to sort of then maybe have to make a decision about, do I want to drop these other streaming services? But Disney also isn't going to acquire those other streaming services, so something like 10 years down the line, we're not going to just have Disney Plus having everything. No, it's going to be a couple big services, probably Amazon and probably Netflix and probably Disney, and then a bunch of small things that didn't really catch on. And I guess that's capitalism, but sort of, I don't think that's really the best for the consumer. But getting a little bit back to coronavirus, I think one of the reasons why you had the Modern Warfare 2 surprise release, sort of with no fanfare and no nothing, and it's coming to consoles other than PlayStation a little bit later in the year. But you had that sort of surprise release because they wanted to capitalize on the fact that everyone is home and everyone is kind of bored with nothing to do. And that was pretty smart, although I do wish they had sort of spent a little bit more time on it. Like, I like that it's remastered, but I kind of wish we got some more stuff with the Modern Warfare remaster, which I enjoyed quite a bit. You got a wholly revamped multiplayer. You got some other stuff, and Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer was awesome. This has some of the best guns in any Call of Duty, but from what I can tell, I don't think we're getting that. And I feel kind of like, because of Warzone and because of whatever Call of Duty 2020 is going to be, which, unless that release gets pushed back, it's still coming out. I think they wanted to try to really keep players playing this and not break any of their audience up. But I think in the end it's going to hurt because fewer people are going to want to go after something like the Modern Warfare 2 remaster. But it was only $20, right?
Yeah, it's only $20. You do get the pack for Modern Warfare. Now that on its own isn't really reason enough to buy a whole $20 game, because it's, a sort of cool ghost skin, better than all the ones they have, but it's not the best. And then, really, I don't remember even much else interesting in it. I don't think I've used the other things. I guess the TF-141 assault rifle, which is your classic M4, that's pretty nice. I mean, I love the M4 in Modern Warfare 2, and bringing back its exact look, that's great, but the game itself is worth it. I mean, Modern Warfare 2, I think we would both say, is perhaps the best Call of Duty campaign. Certainly up there. And biggest flaw is it's graphically old and technically old. And they've improved upon that, certainly graphically, as in any remaster. But they added more nuance to the gameplay with animations for things that were just automatic, and the ability to inspect your gun, which maybe they shouldn't have added because that turns out to be really addicting. It's the same old campaign that you know and love, but better looking.
That was a nice double play back there, by the way. I think you got the one guy, and I think you might. Did you get his buddy in the truck? I don't know. I'm picking up the loadout. I don't know if it's the sniper. It's me. Yeah, one thing that you were going to say was how both, like, we talked about Black Widow, and then about how another movie that we're both very interested in got pushed.
Ah, yes. No Time to Die. The movie that, in terms of the ratio of quality, will make or break Daniel Craig. He said, 2 good movies, 2 bad. I'm not going to say which is which. I want you to figure that out. Maybe later, if I talk more about James Bond, I'll leave some clues, but it's maybe looking good, but they pushed it back, and they pushed it back pretty early, like right as the lockdown was starting, so they really got ahead of that. But I am, at least right now, thinking it would have been nice if they had done a home release for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a home release would have been nice. First off, I think they missed out on possibly the best advertising opportunity to come up for free. Like, with Corona, you could have been like, this is No Time to Die. Like, that would have been good. I would have liked a home release. I think, ultimately, people are going to expect more from it because it got pushed. I think that might be detrimental to it in the long run. I think it's probably going to be average. It might be a little better than expected, but I think it's going to be average. I don't think this is going to make Craig. I don't think it's going to break him, but I think he's going to have 2 good, 2 bad, and then a average.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I certainly think that they've delayed it so far that by the time it gets released, it'll be time to die. Get it? Get it?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I do. I think ultimately, yeah, it'll come down to sort of how audiences are feeling. It was delayed to November, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, if the experts are right, they say we should be. The sort of things are not going to be back to normal probably until there's a vaccine. Just because that's like how people are so cautious and people aren't willing to people don't want to, and they shouldn't want to sort of go out and do things and examine life
I'll take the wheel.
Without really kind of an assurance, and that assurance being a vaccine. But I think November is Was I going to go for him? No, I didn't. Probably going to be a better time in terms of people going out, and maybe some social distancing restrictions will be lifted.
Yeah, I think. I don't think things are really going to get back to normal in a way, though, because so much will change because of this. But eventually, it's going to alleviate somewhat, and people are gonna. Well, they're really gonna want to get outside. I think whatever movies are out in theater at that time are gonna really kill at the box office. It could be anything, but the hard thing is you don't really know when that's gonna be. It could be this summer when people start coming out of their quarantine. It could be next fall. It'll happen at some point.
Yeah. I think, and then you have sort of the other side of the coin where certain people are really pushing to release stuff now early to kind of get an advantage or an incentive from all the people staying at home, like we talked about with Modern Warfare. And then also, at least on PlayStation, you have a pretty massive PlayStation sale that was the spring sale, and now is just like a regular sale.
They're calling it the past one was the one in March was called March Madness, and then that was all of March, and it was a great sale, and I remember thinking that I had to get things right before it ended, but then when it was over, all of a sudden this big spring sale came in. So I think they're really trying to take advantage of that. And one thing that I remember us also talking about at some point is that this could be the death of buying games in store, because you can still buy video games online, and people are going to be doing that, especially with less things to do, and the industry was already progressing in that area, so probably going to see a lot of game stores closing down and a lot of people just buying things on the network.
Yeah, I think that's highly likely, especially with sort of how GameStop treated their employees and that whole sort of debacle regarding how, for those of you who don't know, I will keep it brief. So GameStop, so right now, at least in the United States, where we are, we don't know if someone here is listening from some other countries, your restrictions and your policies from your government will likely be different. But the United States anyway, everyone who is non-essential is supposed to have not everyone, but a majority of states have issued stay-at-home orders, where people are really supposed to just stay home and not really go out, except if you're going to a supermarket to get exercise or to take care of someone who's elderly and can't and shouldn't go out.
Or if you work in one of those industries, of course.
Yes, and you have the essential workers, people in healthcare, people who are in sort of food and food delivery, people who do infrastructure like trains and buses and subways. Those are all essential because mostly it's the people who are in the medical industry and the people who support the medical industry. That's sort of what's been deemed essential, and that's probably a good thing. We want to limit people being out and such. But GameStop tried to get their stores marked as essential to keep their workers sort of not really employed, because GameStop certainly could have just said, everyone go home and we'll clear your checks for a month. They certainly could have done that. But I think it was more to try to keep people in their stores, to try to say to customers, hey, we're still open even though no one else is, so please come back. I know GameStop got in trouble because regionally they told their staff members to ignore stay-at-home orders. They were already filing for Chapter 11 before all this was happening, so my guess is that GameStop as a company is probably on the way out.
Yeah, definitely. That's essentially been the juggernaut in the buying games in stores. I know of a few other places that I think are maybe even just local around us, so won't mention them for anonymity's sake, but other than that, it's GameStop. You can really find them everywhere, and they're probably going to be gone soon. And
I mean, to be honest, kind of good riddance, because it was like Oh, you buy Red Dead 2 for $59.99, trade it the next day. Oh, the best we can offer you is like $19. Sorry. I remember I tried to sell them a console. It was a Xbox 360S. It was one of the decent ones. And it was like pretty new, no damage. And I was like, I just want like 150 because they were retailing for 300. I'm like 50%. All right, that's fair. And they were like, no, I can't give you $1. I can't give you $1 above 75. And that was ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. But I have a couple friends that have worked at GameStops in the past, and they've said that it's probably one of the worst retail jobs you could have. So I certainly wouldn't. I mean, my heart goes out to anyone who's unemployed because of this coronavirus. That really sucks. But I'm sort of not too upset about potentially GameStop having to close.
And certainly not sad for the company itself.
Yeah.
Maybe the workers you can be sad for, but there'll hopefully be something else.
Certainly. So it's down to the final couple circles here. It's 15 people left, 7 teams. That's not awful. I know I'm throwing that seed. Kill the guy. And you were doing a very different strategy than me here.
I was in a building that no one else was in, and I was shooting at people in other buildings.
Yeah, I was hoping that this gas station would be the center of the last circle, and so we could get in sort of before. Well, I could get in before anybody else, but that did not work. And then I think I get sniped here.
Yeah, well, we don't make it much further here, so obviously something's going to happen. So,
yeah, I think since we're here, what are your like sort of 5-second thoughts or 5-second review on the world's base of Verdansk for Warzone in general?
It's good. It's certainly diverse. There's a lot of interesting things there. But overall, I am hungry for more.
Yeah, I would say about the same. It's one, like, the first few times we played it, it was amazing, and thank you for buying me back in. The first few times we played, it was like, oh man, this new world is awesome, it's all the, like, maps combined, and it's really cool. But then sort of it's like, you have these very interesting moments, like, yeah, I'd never been on this roof before, however briefly, but, it was an interesting sort of experience to kind of go there. And I think that will be it for this episode. So thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you're going to do. If you think we suck, tell us. If you think we're great, tell us. Got any ideas for another video? Comment them down below, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.